Hello my friends, and welcome to part 11 of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Master SP Deck Challenge Deck Overview series. Okay, so before I begin, here's a few notifications. Apparently there was quite the update, because it took a little bit longer than usual. But nothing really that new. Yeah, not really anything that new, just a few visual effect changes, a few minor duel changes. You can feel free to go into this or pause and read. Duel room changes that don't really affect ranked duels, so that doesn't really matter to me. And then a few other non-ranked stuff. And I'm not exactly sure what they're talking about for the deck getting relay updates. Oh yeah. I think I can only open a minimum of 100 if I have at least 100 though. I don't think there's a way to open less, so that kind of stinks. That means I'm going through tickets quicker, but that's not that big of a deal because if I have less I can just open less anyway, so it's really not that big of a deal. But it is gonna make the when I actually get to pack openings again pretty interesting, which I might actually just do it should make the pack openings a bit more interesting though, with more cards being seen, maybe. Yeah, and then a few issues on cards, which I don't think I use any of those. Yeah. Oh yeah, but there's also a new selection pack. So it looks like Goaties are coming, and then also Z-Lantis, which is especially interesting for Marensa since they can lock water summons. And so and it's interesting that Z-Lantis, since the player is the one summoning the cards back, any non-waters aren't going to be summoned back, which could be really good if your opponent's not on water deck. And I know a lot of people said it, but I just kind of now realize that I had to be told that again because I didn't think that was actually a thing, because it's special summoning back. I'm pretty sure it's interesting though that the player's doing the summoning, and so that actually works out for the player. Anyway, let's go into this solo mode. And I can at least get through 2. And then, yeah, I'll probably just do pack openings. I mean, it may make it a bit longer, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Oh, yeah, and I really don't care if I do, also another thing is I really don't care if I do videos every day. Cause that was nice at the beginning, but now it's not always that easy, so I'm just gonna do them when I can. I can at least get in 2 videos a week though. I'm sure that's at least feasible. But I don't think I'm gonna hold on to a tight-knit schedule, at least for now. Maybe later on if I ever get to the 1,000 subscriber goal I ever want to get to, or when I have more subscribers, maybe I could go with a more tight-knit schedule. But for now, it's just gonna be more when I have time. I'm gonna try not to go too many days without putting out another video. Anyway, yeah. But I'm not gonna be super worried about if I miss a day, is what I'm trying to say. I think in the past I was kind of worried about that, but now it's not really helping me gain subscribers anyway. So not that I don't like the people who do subscribe, and I am happy for them staying subscribed even if I miss a few days, but Like, maybe, like, right now, like, it's not that big of a deal if I miss, like, a day or two before my next upload. Or even maybe, like, 3 days or something like that. Anyway, so I think this was the one I did last time. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh, actually, I also got done with that. So I must be on this one. Wait, no. No, yeah, I covered this one too. So it must be this one. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So maybe if I go quick enough, I can actually get through the rest of the decks today, which would be cool. But, I mean, if I don't, it's okay. Anyway, this deck is called Magician's Unity, and the deck description reads, this is a deck that sports Dark Magician with Magician Go monsters. If you use the effect of Apple Magician Go to switch attack targets and reduce attack by half, you can defeat your opponent's monsters with high attack power. Yeah, basically the similarities for all the Magician Goes is usually when they're targeted for an attack, they can switch the attack target to something else, either a spellcaster from the hand or a spellcaster from the graveyard, and sometimes, or like even a spellcaster from the deck, and sometimes there's a level restriction and sometimes they're not. Although Kiwi Magician Go is kind of unique in the fact that she doesn't switch out. So I guess that really only goes for the ones that are level 4 or lower. And then since Kiwi is not level 4 or lower, they just said, hey, we won't give her that. Anyway, I think it's usually the lower level ones that like have like better effects, but I'm not sure. Anyway, Dark Magician, of course, that's basically the crux of this deck. Also Dark Magician Go, kind of the backup. Anyway, Berry Magician Go allows you to add a Magician Go from the deck to hand. And also you get to special summon one from the deck when she's targeted. So like she has, see, that's what I'm talking about. She has really good effects. Like she's such a low level, but her strengths lie in her effects. With the more powerful ones, I think the strengths more lie in their stats. But they also have, they can also be pretty good with their effects. And then Lemon Magician Go allows you to add a spellcaster. So this is kinda like Bay, but she allows you to add any spellcaster instead of it just being Magician Go. But you do have to tribute one, except herself, so you basically need board presence. Unlike with her, where she just allows you to do it on no summon. So they're basically making it like a better search, but you need a bit more in order to do it. However, this isn't just on no summon though. So like if you can keep route, you can get the search again and again. So that's pretty cool. And then this one is a little bit less powerful, only allowing it to be from the hand. But, I mean, you can always just, like, add one out with her. So, as long as you can get a search with her, you'll have a target to special out off of the Lemon Magician Go effect. And then Apple Magician Go, it's level 5 or lower. Basically the same as Lemon, but instead of it being any, it's like level 5 or lower spellcaster, which unfortunately does knock out the Dark Magician, the Dark Magician Go, and the Palladium. But I mean, all of your Magician Goes except for, I believe, herself are fair game. No, she herself is fair game too, but basically the higher stats you summon, the more likely that it won't just be destroyed when they have to redirect the attack target to it. However, because the attacking monster's attack is halved, that means that it's a little even easier for that opponent to not be able to kill the monster that you summon. And also this allows you to current material from the graveyard, which can give you more targets for your when your opponent declares attacks on your Magician Goes, since most of them does trade one out. I guess like, I mean like at least 5 of them, like these 6 have to have their targets be from the hand. But you might want to leave one target in graveyard at least, because this one needs to special summon from the graveyard. And just like the apple, it also halves. So not all of these halves, I don't think. Yeah, not all of them have. The level 1, the level 2 don't have. Oh wait, no. No, I guess it's only the level 1 that doesn't have, and of course Kiwi doesn't even special summon. Anyway. Yeah. Oh yeah, and also another thing is like, as long as like their abilities are able to be used on special summon, you could potentially get an effect out of special summoning something too. But it doesn't look like any of them really have an effect on special summon, and a lot of them aren't even quick effects, so like you're basically gonna like have to wait until your turn to pull off. But this one has at least a quick effect, so if you bring this one out, you can like gain a little bit extra attack and defense if you need it. And also it has a pretty good continuous effect too, so it protects in a few ways. And then Dark Magician Go, I mean technically she has an effect that's pulled off right away too if you want that. And the more Dark Magicians you have, the better. She can get up to 2900. Actually maybe more than that, because I think a lot of your fusions also count as Dark Magician while in the grave. So she's a pretty good finisher if you can ever get to that point. The problem is like I don't think it like necessarily happens all that much where you can get to a point where like she has such ridiculous attack that it's super crazy and you can go an OTK with her. That's actually kind of difficult because you are special summoning Dark Magician quite a bit, but I don't think enough to really get her to like a really high attack set. Usually. And then this is probably a pretty good one to special summon with the ones that actually allow you to special summon any level basically. Because I mean when you're like, if your opponent's attacking with a dark monster, unfortunately I don't think you can surprise them with this card. Since like if it's from the graveyard they can see it coming, and this one only special summons Magician Goes from the deck. Actually this one does, but it also negates the effects of the monster that special summons, so it's not like you're gonna be able to surprise them with this, which is really unfortunate, like because really the only like way like you're gonna be able to special summon it and have it keep its effect if it's from the graveyard, but they'll like see it coming, the opponent will see it coming. Like I mean this is AI, so like I'm not sure how much like we really need to think about that, but still like it would be cool if there was a way to bring this out with the Magician Goes where the opponent didn't see it coming, so they really get punished if they're attacking with a dark monster. But I guess if they don't think about your graveyard, maybe you could still spring this and then like they still get punished, since the attack is still gonna have to go through on the new target. I mean it's cool when it works out, but like it's not always gonna work out. It's especially cool since not only does it have the attack target, but if this is battling a dark, its attack becomes doubled. So I mean, so basically against a 2500 attack, monster, you would be inflicting like what, like I don't know, like 25, maybe like 3750, something like that. Or 3725 maybe. I don't know the math. But yeah, still pretty cool. Anyway. Chaos Dragon Levianeer. This is for when you actually can get light and dark, either through the X deck. Looks like the X deck is all dark though, so you do have a few lights. So usually you're probably gonna be getting off the dark effect, not the both light and dark effect, because you don't have a ton of lights. But the only dark effect is pretty good too. Shuffling a random card. Whoopsies. And then Raigeki and Harpy's Feather Duster, like, those are pretty good staples. So is the Monster Reborn. Unfortunately, a few of these have like normals, like Berry Magician Go won't be able to use his search effect again since she's being special summoned. But you still have a few other good targets that can have really good effects when they're simply put on the field. Also, being able to special summon fusions with it, as long as they're properly summoned, but I'm pretty sure that's the only way you bring them out. And then this one is kind of like another Monster Reborn, but only for you, for your monsters, since you have quite a few dark spellcasters. It doesn't give you as many options, but it still gives you quite a few. And then Magicalized Fusion for another thing you can do with the monsters in your graveyard. Works really well with fusion summon cards that send them to the graveyard too, so that's a bonus. Power of Extravagance is there for draw. Dark Magic Expanded. It gets better depending on I mean, all you have to really do is like have 3, which isn't necessarily going to be too difficult, since it also allows for Dark Magician Go to count. And then if you get 3, like the effect's pretty good. But even if you have fewer, maybe you don't necessarily need one of the more stronger effects and you can still use it. It's also cool that it's a quick play. Dark Renewal. This can basically trade out one of your monsters for another, while also getting rid of one of your opponent's monsters. Special summon 1 dark, which does like limit your options a bit, but I mean, you can at least summon out the Dark Magician or the Dark Magician Go. Or if you have fusions in your graveyard, it's pretty good for that. And then also, it's not bad like if you're trading out Dark Magician for Dark Magician Go, because she'll come out with at least a 300 attack boost, and if you have more, like, she could get bigger than Dark Magician. That could help start up your boosting plays. And then Metamorph Fortress gives you another material. It does count as a rock, which I don't think you really have anything you can go into using a rock monster. It basically counts an equip card. Oh, and apparently it gives it, like, it gives something a little bit of a boost, with the downside of going into defense, just like some of those old monsters back in the day. And then Magician's Defense. Huh. So I guess you're more looking for the sending it to the graveyard, so you can like, so this can be another way to like basically special summon any of your monsters, except for the Chaos Dragon Levianeer, which I'm not sure if you really need to special summon that anyway, because really it only gains its, like, really the only time you want to bring this out is off of its own effect, because otherwise it'll just come out as a 3000 meat stick, which, I mean, you have better options anyway. However, like, while it's on the field, its effect isn't bad either. It also has any kind of damage, which is kind of cool, although I'm not sure how much effect damage my opponent is going to be doing this time around. And then a way to negate. So this is one of those swords cards. So they're about negating. Also protects against direct attack. So, if my opponent's going in for a direct attack for a game, like, it can stop all of those. That's cool. And then Dark Magician Go, the Dragon Knight. So this is another reason we're playing Chaos Dragon Levianeer. However, we can also use Dragon Fusions for this, so it may not be as hard to bring out as you think. We're not using Eye of Tamaya, so we'll just have to bring out the normal way. Not really that big of an effect anyway. Like, I'm not sure like how worth it is to bring this out versus others. But I mean, if you already used up Levianeer's effect, you could probably just bring it out. Yeah, it's a quick effect though, which is kind of cool. And then this can just like become bigger, basically, if there's a lot of spells between the two of you. Also a spell summon, so if you already have spellcasters, yeah, like, that's pretty good. Spell summons a spellcaster. And then Dragon Knight, pretty good, especially when you're playing with Eternal Souls. So Eternal Souls are a little bit hard to blow up, because when that's blown up, all the monsters are blown up. But we're not playing Eternal Souls, but it's still good even without that. I just like want to mention that, because I kind of like, I mean, this is like a really good card to run with Eternal Soul, but even if you're not playing it, it's... Oh yeah, it also counts as Dark Magician. It's one of those fusions that counts as Dark Magician while on field in the graveyard, so it helps with other things like boosting up Go, making sure expanded you can get off the higher effects, the better tiered effects. And then Quintet Magician, this is probably one of the main monsters you want to use the Magicalized Fusion for, otherwise you're giving up a lot of resources. But it's really good when you can use 5 spellcasters with different names, which is probably how you want to bring him out. Otherwise, he's basically just a 40... I mean, it's still pretty good even if you don't, but like destroying all cards that opponent trolls is really good. Especially since you can just like attack afterwards. So, all you need is a little bit more damage if your opponent's at full life points and able to get an OTK off of that. So, pretty cool. And it is nice that it can't be Kaiju. Yeah, so it's a little bit hard to get rid of. And then here's the opponent's deck. It's called Invincible Blue-Eyes. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be able to get through more than this, but I will have time for a pack opening at least. And then the deck description reads, I do want to try to get to do these decks in as much detail as possible though, so because I think it's cool like to like look at these, really go in depth with these, because Konami did at least put some effort into making these, so at least So let's respect that. I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, the deck description for this reads: a deck that unleashes the full force of Blue-Eyes White Dragon. Using the effects of Blue-Eyes Abyss Dragon, the White Stone of Ancients can help you pull off Ritual Fusion and sync summons more easily. Bring out the best Blue-Eyes for your situation and you'll find yourself closer to victory. Oh, I guess I didn't really talk about the... Oh, I didn't really talk about her, actually. Oh, yeah, actually I did. No, never mind. I wasn't sure. Anyway, so the first card, of course, 3 Blue-Eyes, pretty important because you need, the original in order to bring out alternative. Unless, do you? Yeah, I believe you do need the original. Also, like, it can be special summoned pretty easily through various ways. But, I mean, you could always just special summon one of the other Blue-Eyes if you want, with a few of these. But with Maiden, it has to be the original. Actually, no, you can bring out, alternative, I think. Yeah, you can bring out alternative from the graveyard with Maiden. I'm not sure if any of these other cards are treated as Blue-Eyes White Dragon while in the graveyard. So technically, Blue-Eyes White Dragon is the only target for this card. But I think that's what you're bringing out most of the time. Like, but if you can bring out alternative, it could be useful because alternative does have that destroy a monster effect that's not relied on like bringing out through its own effect. And then the White Stone of Ancients can just special summon any of your Blue-Eyes, so you definitely have a lot more options for this card. And it can also add any of your Blue-Eyes from the graveyard to the hand, so you, once again, a lot more options. And so because of that, like, your best target for Ancients isn't gonna be the regular Blue-Eyes. It's gonna be Dragon Spirit's not bad if you have if your opponent has a spell or trap you want to banish. But you might just want to go for Abyss, because Abyss is really awesome because you get to add a ritual spell of polymerization, so you can either go for one of your rituals or the fusions. And the fusions and rituals usually have decent enough effects. I really like this card because this makes making Chaos Max Dragon much simpler. I mean, I don't think polymerization was like too hard to get to, but I mean, like, if you'd rather go for that, you also have the option there. Actually, this is a really nice card because, like, you can basically like search for the ritual and then during the same turn get the Chaos Max, so it acts as a one card way to get into all the resources needed to go into your rituals. And before this guy, it was like really hard to get to a ritual. I mean, also, like, it you don't really need to do the same for the fusions because you'll already have the fusions in your X deck. And there were plenty of other ways of searching for polymerization anyway, but that's just a bonus. I mean, if you already have Chaos Form, you could always search for polymerization and then still just search for one of your rituals. But, like, I mean, if you don't really need to search for the ritual either, you could always search for a different Blue-Eyes. You certainly have lots of options. This can, okay, this does burn. So I guess my opponent does have some burn. So this one card of mine will have the damage of this at least. Yeah. But usually, I don't think this is doing a ton of damage either. But just in case it is, like, I have, like, an option of having it assuming that I have that card out by the time they actually can. Because, yeah, because like I'll be able to see the special summon coming, so that means I'll be able to flip it up before they actually do the burn. So by the time they do the burn, it'll be halved. Also it destroys, but it has to be destroyed. It's destroyed by a card effect, so it makes it easier because my opponent can just destroy it. However, this doesn't actually destroy one of theirs. They can't pick theirs. So, but I guess if they don't get the destruction, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. It's pretty cool though. It acts as Raigeki. And then Chaos Max, and now there's a new Chaos Dragon. It's pretty cool that this has some pretty cool protection as well, so you may not always need to bring this out, although it does lose the double piercing bow damage. But it does force monsters into defense as long as they're not links, which I'm not playing any links anyway, so and that is pretty cool. It makes everything 0, so it does make for a little bit of easier game maybe, but like of course it loses 1,000 attack, also loses the double piercing, so it's hard to get game. But like what is pretty cool, if you can bring this out and also bring Chaos Max Dragon out, that is going to be kind of difficult. It's unfortunate that has to be on attack, because otherwise maybe you could just use this as material to bring out the Chaos Max Dragon. But this has to be basically out, and it's not like there's really any way of like quick ritualing. So basically, like, you could guarantee an OTK if you have both of these guys out. My opponent could, but it's gonna be kind of quite difficult. Polymerization for fusion summoning, and there's quite a few good targets. Monster Reborn. A few of these have effects on special summons, so they'll be able to reuse them. Fang of Critias. I mean, it's also also should take note that this can be from either graveyard, but I think normally when you're doing reviving effects, it's usually a monster from your own graveyard, because usually you're getting more advantage by summoning from your own graveyard. And then the Fang of Critias, they're actually playing that kind of card, and I'm not playing the Eye of Timaeus, even though I could, but that's okay. That's another reason I'm playing oh, they're playing these traps right here, because like they could also send them to the graveyard in with the Fang of Critias to bring out any of these monsters. And I think they usually have I think basically what it is these basically take up the effects of the traps anyway. But in the case of this guy, it takes up the effect of the crush card. But it's actually better because it's the original. It kept the pre-eroded effect of crush card. So that's actually kind of cool. And you don't have to attribute a monster in order to get the crush card effect off. You just basically have to attribute off the crush card, which is probably better anyway, because it's a pre-eroded version of the crush card. So it might seem less strong that you're not getting rid of as many cards, since this also gets rid of 3 monsters from the deck. But I think this might actually be better a lot of the times, since the opponent just gets to choose anyway. Maybe in my deck it hurts a bit more, but like even in my deck, like I have a lot of like ways I can make use of like getting to choose which monsters are sent to my graveyard. But it also does destroy monsters in my hand and field, so maybe it's not. But I still think like it's really cool that I don't have to tribute a monster in order to get kind of an effect of a crush card off. I don't know. Anyway, Bingo Machine Go. I mean, if you want to pick 3 of the same, you can, and then that means you're guaranteed to get your choice. But you could also pick 3 different cards, or 2 of the same and 1 different if you have to. And I mean, as long as they're all good targets, like you probably won't feel too bad, even if like the one you really wanted was chosen. Alright, like this goes for my opponent. I don't know why I'm saying it like that if it's going for my opponent, because my opponent's gonna play it the way it wants. But it's still, I mean, if any of you want to play like that's another reason I'm going through this. But you're probably gonna play like a different version, but like some of this will probably be the same. Strength and Unity. Just get a little bit extra advantage whenever you're Ritual Fusion summoning anyway. But it doesn't really help with Ritual Fusion summoning. But at least it has the added benefit of being able to get one of your monsters back from the grave, either into a deck or add to your hand. Which, I mean, you can also choose the Dragon Spirit of White if you want, so Blue-Eyes isn't going to be your only option. And then Majesty without Eyes of Blue, attack stun for as long as also helps get your Blue-Eyes monster out from the deck. So like this is pretty nice as a Foolish Spirit for Blue-Eyes exclusively. Rage with Eyes of Blue, pretty funny that Mystical Space Typhoon can stop this. Basically any destruction card, Chain in Response can stop this. But if my opponent can pull it off, like special summoning 3 copies of Blue-Eyes is certainly not bad. Especially on an open field, that can just be game. Yeah, and then of course like traps, like if you don't want to use them as fodder for the dragons, you can also just use them as traps. Crush card, you do have to get rid of a Dark, but actually I don't think you really have a Dark, so really I think the best way you're pulling this off anyway is through the effect of Fang of Critias. I mean, sure, you're not getting rid of 3 more monsters from the opponent's deck, but like still, like getting rid of a lot of monsters like via the hand and field is still pretty cool, and also cards they draw. So it's not still not gonna be bad. Even if like you can only use pre-arrived version from New Virus Dragon. Again, I'm not sure which is like stronger or weaker. I think they're both pretty good. Mia Force. Yeah, because that's the only Dark. Mia Force destroy all attack position. And then if you're using it from the effect of Mia Force Dragon, you're just destroying all cards. So that's a much better effect. So now it's not just getting rid of monsters, you're also getting rid of their backer as well. And then Ring of Destruction. could destroy a monster that your opponent controls and inflict damage to both players' life points. But with this one, you get to target any card, but you still only get to do damage if it's a monster. However, this kind of has a pre-errata effect, similar to the Doom Virus Dragon. This has a pre-errata effect of the Ring of Destruction also, sort of. So, which means that, like, even if your opponent has less life points, you can still activate it. Like, you can still just kill them by, like, if you select a monster with, like, higher life points, higher attack than their life points. But you still want to be careful because, oh wait, it only does damage to your opponent. That's also really cool. And it's equal to, yeah, it's still equal. Anyway, Tyrant Wing. Time Burst Dragon is kind of cool because it allows 1 extra attack. Versus Tyrant Wing only allowing for 2 attacks. And the Tyrant Burst allows for 3 attacks on anything, even if they're direct attacks. And then the Ultimate Creature of Destruction offers, like, battle protection, basically. Also, guaranteed destruction of monsters, and also can bring itself back. Destined Rivals, negating everything, but it only negates ones that are currently on the field of your opponent and face up. So I went over the trap dragons basically, and then the Twin Burst Dragon also gets multiple attacks. Unfortunately, the Tyrant Wing or the Tyrant Burst, like, I mean, the Tyrant Burst will allow it 1 additional attack, but they don't stack, so even if you equip Tyrant Wing to this, it's still gonna only have 2 attacks. So it's probably better to equip it to something else, but if you really want to give it the boost, you can. I guess it is kind of cool to equip it to Chaos Max or maybe Blue-Eyes Chaos Dragon. And if you bring out the Chaos Dragon and the Tyrant Burst, like, even if your opponent has monsters, actually, yeah, if you're able to bring out the Chaos Dragon and Tyrant Burst as well, and you just equip it to the, yeah, and if you just equip it to the Chaos Dragon, that is another way you can get game that, without needing to bring out both the Chaos Dragon or the Chaos Max Dragon. And that may be a little bit easier anyway. That's kind of cool, like, there's another way to get an OTK, because then, like, even if your opponent has monsters, you can just put them in defense, and you can just attack all 3. And since they'll be at 0 attack, and this thing does piercing, that'll be 9,000 damage. Unless I was to flip up the halving damage, that could just save me. Also, multi-attacks, and also tied with also having monsters with high attack, really makes that not allowing for direct attacks also kind of be nice for me. Oh yeah, and this can also ban stuff that doesn't necessarily destroy. I mean, which is good since it also can't be destroyed by battle itself, so basically no matter what it attacks, it's going to be able to get rid of it somehow. And then Ultimate Dragon, just a basic non-effect. There actually is a difference between a non-effect monster and a normal monster. See, because normal monsters say they're normal specifically, while the fusions without any effects just say like fusion without anything else. So that's the difference basically. Anyway, Neo Blue-Eyes Ultimate Dragon. This is basically like a newer Ultimate Dragon. Has the same attack. Also has the same material, so you're probably just going to end up bringing this out if you can't make Ultimate Dragon. It can double attack, which is especially nice if you can just make both of them 2 attacks. Actually, you can get 3 attacks with this guy. Yeah, so like this could easily be an OTK as long as 2 of them are direct attacks. This is another way you can OTK. So like there are definitely ways, which is really nice when I can have it. So it makes them the potential OTKs, maybe non-OTKs. Also, it can negate stuff too. That, well, targeting effects anyway. For a lot of their monsters, since a lot of them are going to be Blue-Eyes. But it doesn't protect something like Azor-Eyes. But Azor-Eyes gives targeting protection anyway. Not like forever, but probably for long enough. And then also special summoning a normal, which can also be Dragon Spirit of White, since that counts as a normal. And then Spirit can... I mean, am I really going to be special summoning 2 or more monsters at the same time? This is probably better if I was like a Pendulum deck, but since I'm not really a Pendulum deck... Yeah, I don't think I will be. I can't see when I would be special summoning 2 at the same time. So I don't think that's going to really affect me all that much. But I do have... Do I have graveyard effects? I do have that one where I can banish it to not allow, like, direct attacks. So they can negate that if they still want to get into direct attacks. But besides that, I don't think I really have a ton of graveyard effects. And then they can just tribute it to bring out the Azor-Eyes to have a timed targeting protection. Plus special summon for normal. Like, which I think like that's probably the biggest lore, especially when like with my deck not really like caring too terribly much about its other effects. Anyway, so there's the 2 decks, and now I can go and show you how I'm opening 100 at a time instead of just 10. And we can see what that's like. Okay, let's get into that. So there was another 2 decks, and then and then the next part I'll just finish it off, and then I'll finally be able to get into the part part 2 of the SP deck deck overviews after that. Okay, yeah, let's hope. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to open less. Like, if there is, maybe, like, somebody can let me know. But I don't think there is a way to open less than, like, what it says. So I'm kind of forced into this. Yeah, see, the card quality looks a lot better when I'm opening a lot more. So, at least that's something nice. I am going to be going through a lot more cards, though. But at least this gives you more options for what your favorite card is going to be. Looks like Junk Synchron is a pretty nice pickup. And I think that's another Carry Babylon, so I could be building a Karibo deck maybe to kind of show that off, but I don't know if I will be. Because I kind of already like went through that. All out attacks. B-Trooper Flying Sing, that's a pretty good one. But I already had a playset of that, so like that's not that big of a deal. Number 83, Galaxy Queen. This was a good card back in the day to help protect yourself against, I forget what your Oh, this was a good card to help get past like basically cards that were unaffected by card effects. Because usually they wouldn't be able to necessarily survive against a 3000 attack beater. I think this was a really good card for Cleaford since the tower was just shy of 3000. Or no, it had exactly 3000, so you could just crash into it. I mean, dude did have to give up a monster, but it was worth it to get rid of something that was completely immune. Quagga Hercules, that's pretty cool. This is actually really expensive. In real life Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit of a tidbit right there. Yeah, see, now I'm getting into rares. Turret Warrior is kind of a neat card since you can just normal summon Warrior and then you can like special summon him right away if you wanted. You don't have to worry about like tribute summoning him. Stumbling, kind of a neat stall card. Yeah. Intercept Wave. Oh yeah, people are thinking this might be pretty good, but I don't think it was as good as people were thinking. I think maybe the biggest thing was you need to have Winged Karibo in your graveyard, so you first need to like set that up, and not a lot of people really wanted to. That could be interesting. So you got to like take control of a monster. This could actually be pretty cool. But you can only take control of stuff that you can actually put into defense. That doesn't seem like such a bad card though. But I guess it's because we have so many other like cards that take control of monsters that don't need that kind of setup. Pulse Mines is pretty good for machine decks, at least in Duel Links. A few of these fusions are actually not bad, because they can like be used with that new fusion card that needs to bring out a non-effect fusion from the X deck. Union Rider, Fear from the Dark, Sacred Crane. I mean, like, special summon, draw a card, pretty nice. It's not even a once per turn or anything, so I think it was really good back in the day because of that. Some Watts, some Gem Knights support, a Morphage support. Yeah, there's a lot of normal monsters, of course. I think I'm like going through all the normal monsters at this point. Oh, here's some equipped spells. Sparks. Ritual spell. Spiritualism. God Bounty. Ooh, I got a hollow. I'm getting a few hollows as well, which is pretty nice. Unfortunate report. Probably one of the worst cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just nobody could really find a way to make it work, though it would be pretty cool if eventually it can, that can be found. But maybe Konami doesn't want that to happen, so they're trying to avoid printing cards that can actually make a unfortunate report good card. I don't think it would really matter if it was a good card. Oh, this was also a pretty good early rank 4 monster, because you get to switch the target of a card, so anything that would maybe like debuff one of your cards, or like maybe destroy one of your cards, as long as like it something else can be an appropriate target, you could just move it to that. And if it can technically target an opponent's monster, you could just move it to that, which is pretty cool. And vice versa, if it was a good card, that could potentially target one of your monsters, you could just have it target one of your monsters, which pretty good. I mean, probably not nowadays, but like definitely back in the day, not bad. I don't know why. Oh, I think it's because like there's quite a few cards that don't target anymore. I think maybe that's why it's not as good. But cool that I got a holo. I don't know if the other one was a holo. Got my first Goblin King. That's something. Yeah, I already had. So I think I'm gonna say my biggest pickup. At least I have more options to choose from now, which is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna go with Curry Babylon. I'm on my way to having a play set. I mean, I'm not sure if I'm gonna play the Kribos, but Kribos aren't bad. Like it seems like it could be pretty fun. I don't know, like if like I would want to like show things off just for fun, but yeah, probably not. But like it's nice for the collection. So if anyone else has a favorite card from all of these, there's definitely a lot more to choose from, which is one of the main lures of like opening more packs. You definitely have a lot more to choose from, but I think I should probably stop pretty soon because I think it's reaching up to 60 minutes. So please like, share, and subscribe, and considering that notification bell either for my regular content by selecting the bell and selecting personalized if you want the content that you enjoy the most, so selecting all if you just want all my content to really help me out, or you're just enjoying pretty much my mass duel that I'm doing a lot of. Yeah, and I'll be leaving the verse in the description as well as the verse discussion in the comments within the next few days. You should be seeing that eventually, as well as the gratitude notes in the description. So that'll do it for the episode. So bye everyone.